So, what lessons that conservatives can learn from the Roe versus Wade decision? Coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Conversation Logical Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it. So, as we know, the Supreme Court just rendered their decision on Roe versus Wade and the landmark decision. And basically, the left, as usual, as not surprisingly, are coming unglued. They're protesting everywhere. You know, there was almost, I believe there was this insurrection that took place in the Capitol building in Arizona. Of course, the lamestream media covered it up. Not like they did with January 6th, you know, they just ignoring that, and let's say January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. And I'm wondering if there will be hearings on that insurrection. Doubt it, the way the left is. And obviously these people don't do any research. Because if they did, just a little research could let you know that what the Supreme Court did, and essentially they didn't ban abortion. All they did was said, abortion is not going to be a federal issue, and honestly, constitutionally speaking, it's not a federal issue. It's not a federal matter, it's a state matter. So all states are going to have to deal with this issue on themselves, on its own. Now, they decide what they want to do when it comes down to abortion. Now, I suspect that it's going to be 50-50. Somewhere in the neighborhood, half the states are going to allow abortion, you know, the liberal leftist states, New York, California, Seattle, I believe Hawaii is a very leftist state, and you know all the leftist states are going to allow abortion to still stay legal, and roughly half the states are going to ban it. You know, generally the Midwest and you know the Bible Belt, or in also the South. These are going to be the state that's going to ban abortion, but it's not going to be. I mean, it's not going to be completely totally banned. Now, the lesson, though, I'm going to say that the lesson that conservatives should learn from this is that if you want to get your presence, you want your message heard, you want your presence felt, you gotta cut up, you gotta act a fool, you have to protest. And one thing that the left have us on is protesting. They don't have us when it comes down to logical thoughts, logical argument, facts, fact-based argument. They don't have us when it comes down to that. The only thing they have us on is protesting, and they will protest at the drop of the hat. Now, the problem with this is that, you know that old saying, out of sight, out of mind? If we consistently see these people protesting all the time, constantly all the time, and they never really see conservative protests. I mean, we saw that one mass protest and how it turned at the Capitol building, and they act like it's the end of the world. Meanwhile, when the left protests and do worse, they had nothing to say about it. But imagine if conservative people were to do that all the time. As soon as we see nonsense happening, then what will happen is we will stop seeing this movement of the left in this country that we've seen. I mean, this movement that we've seen, I have to say, since the third wave feminism, or since the turbulent 60s, we've seen this country move basically encroachingly left. Matter of fact, I saw a Vietnam documentary, and a Vietnam War documentary. I've seen plenty of Vietnam War documentaries, and one particular documentary I saw, and I know this one thing that stood out to me, and I never forgot that. And there was a gentleman who said he left to go to fight the Vietnam War. In America that he came back to was different. That's how much turbulence there was in the 60s, and how much change that we've seen since. And this decision here is one step into pushing America back to those traditional principles. And no, I'm not talking about no evil racist white folks. I'm not talking about segregation and Jim Crow. It's not coming back, so people can stop this nonsense. I'm not talking about black folks not being able to vote. That's BS. We know that's not going to happen. So people need to stop that insane nonsense. But if we as conservatives, we want to see this country start to get more conservative and go more right, we got to start protesting. We have to, as I said in the video I put out before, we need to give We need to give them a dilemma. Like all these businesses, corporations, we need to give them a dilemma. We need to have them thinking, well, if something happens, somebody says something politically incorrect, usually they'll immediately come down on that person. They'll take their endorsement, fire them, let them go. If somebody says something they don't like, the left doesn't like, they'll demand the person is fired and the business will comply. It's because the left are active and they see this. So we as conservatives, we need to start getting active. This needs to be the lesson that we learn. We need to start getting active and demanding more. For instance, we've already hearing companies and corporations say, well, they're going to give their women money to go cross state lines to get abortion, and understandable why they would do it, because they get more production from women if they're at the job working, rather than them being on maternity leave. So it's in their best interest, financial interest, to have all these females to go get these abortions so they can come back to work. As long as the prices of the service, goods and services don't go up for this, no problem. That's their money. However, when it comes on the government, Biden is already talking about they're going to pass legislation giving handouts to these women to go across state lines to get abortion. And that's where I have the problem. You don't take my tax dollars and to spend it on people having abortions, because by that logic, we could take the same logic and we could pass legislation to have people go buy guns for protection, as Second Amendment protection. And the difference is that one of them is a constitutional right and the other isn't. Second Amendment is a right, not a suggestion. And we passed legislation saying that people should be able to go across state lines, and we're going to fund them to go across state lines and buy and give them money to buy guns for protection. Of course, the left would come unglued. But I'm just an example of what we as on the right have to do. I mean, sometimes you got to fight fire with water, but sometimes you got to fight fire with fire. And with the left, they make it to the point in which you have to fight fire with these people because they are crazy. And if conservative people start to stand up, I guarantee you, we'll see this country go more left. Because when I look at the left and the way they act, I always liken it to the movie Planet of the Apes Part 2, and those people who were living underground, these mutant people worshiping the nuclear bomb. But I liken them in their protest to the fake fire. That's all it is. It's just fake fire. Because when conservatives act a fool, and when conservatives are ready to stand up and make this change in this country, to push the country right, it'll happen. There's nothing that the left can do. Because if it was a war between the left versus the right, it'll be a slaughter. The left will be slaughtered if that were really truly a war. Because the people really truly ain't about it like that. It's just that we have right now, they just have a perception of we're on a protest and this is what they do. But we as conservatives need to do the same. Again, I applaud the Supreme Court justice for the decision that they made, and this is just one step into bringing this nation back to sanity, because right now it's just chaotic. And it's a group of people out here who want this chaos. They want to see the downfall of America, and we're headed there the more we keep going left. Anyway, like I said, this is a great learning. This is a great tool for learning for the left. Look at what protesting and being active does. We got to be more active. It's just simply there's nothing more to say. Anyway, y'all, as always, until next time.